Well, hello to you all and welcome to the Global Classroom. And of course, a happy new year to all of our viewers. Despite the challenges that we face around the world, we really wanted to start the new year with a broadcast that would inspire young people all around the globe. Each and every one of you watching today in this moment gives all of us a great sense of hope for the future. You all have the potential to be extraordinary and to make a difference that can really change the future of the world for all of us and for generations to come. Despite the tragedies of this pandemic, I absolutely believe that we have a golden opportunity, a moment in time, when we can choose to innovate and embrace change for good. All of our previous events and resources can be located and found at theglobalclassroom.com, and please do follow and subscribe us to the YouTube channel, and so you can get all the latest updates and information sent through the internet for you as well. But today we're going to hear from and share ideas with really inspirational people about how all of us can make the difference as we move into 2021. I'd like to start by introducing National Geographic Young Explorer Bayle Ritter. Now, she's actually the co-founder of Operation Endangered Species, quite a remarkable young lady herself. She's developed Rise Up, supported by the Ocean Project, and her passion is for expanding the global youth movement by eliminating the barriers that many young people face when trying to grow their advocacy skills and their understanding of the issues facing our planet. Now, Bayle's going to lead the next part of our segment on the Global Classroom, and let's make sure we can connect to her first of all. So Bayle, how are you, and can you hear me first of all?
Hi, Mr. Shaw. It's so good to be here with you all.
Well, it's great to hear you. Where are you beaming in live from today?
I'm actually outside of Chicago, so it's good morning for me. Well, it's good afternoon, I think, for most of you watching, or good evening for some of you too.
It is indeed. And actually, what's the weather like over there in Chicago? I believe it's the Windy City, is that right?
Windy City. It's also the snowy city right now. We just have gotten so much snow. So after this, I think I'm going to bundle up and head outside and play in the snow maybe.
I'm very jealous. So Bayle, anyway, over to you now for this section.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Bayle Ritter, and I am beyond honored to be joining you all in community today. Today's classroom is focused on inspiration and hope, which are two secret ingredients to becoming the change makers that I know you all are and can be. Believe it or not, you all are the reason I wake up every day and ask myself if I'm doing what I can with the resources and energy that I have to leave our planet a better place. You all are members of this growing global movement that is tackling some of the most important issues facing our world today, and I am inspired by each and every one of you. At National Geographic, we call this community Gen Geo, which is a generation of young people empowered to act on the problems facing our communities today. But we are more than just the next generation of leaders. We're some of the current leaders today making change now. Now, before I introduce you all to one of my Gen Geo community members, I thought I should tell you a little bit about me first. I'm a 23-year-old environmental people person who is dedicated to ensuring this rapidly growing youth movement is inclusive of all. Coming from a town of only 36 people, yep, you heard that right, I did not see where I fit into the change-making picture, because I didn't see anybody who looked like me, who was my age, making the change, and I sure didn't see any solutions. But just like some of you watching, I decided to act and take the solutions into my own hands and haven't stopped since. Like Mr. Shaw said, I helped found Operation Endangered Species, which is a collaborative effort that focuses on saving endangered species from extinction. And since 2012, this program has raised and released over 500 alligator snapping turtles, which are critically endangered in my home state of Illinois, back into the wild. And I'm also the host and creator of the Rise Up webinar, which is supported by the Ocean Project and is a youth-led monthly webinar that connects, inspires, and empowers young people, just like yourselves, through peer-to-peer training, networking, and skill building, all for free. I'm also a proud 2020 National Geographic Young Explorer and a youth advisor for the Ocean Project, which is actually how I met Kehkashan. Kehkashan Basu is the founder and president of the Green Hope Foundation, which she founded at the age of 12 and has been named a National Geographic Young Explorer, a Forbes 30 Under 30 awardee, a United Nations Human Rights Champion, and is also the youngest recipient of Canada's top 25 Women of Influence, not to mention the only Canadian to win the International Children's Peace Prize, and one of the top 100 Sustainable Development Goals leaders in the world. She's truly impressive, and I'm so honored to be joining this conversation with her today. Kehkashan, would you mind sharing a little bit more about your work and journey?
Awesome, yes. Thank you so much, Bayle, and hello, everyone. It's really great to connect with all of you today. Young people like us have a huge responsibility to protect our planet, and today I am so happy to share my journey with you. So let me begin by sharing my screen. Great, so the words empathy, love, care, peace, these have always played a really important role in my life. And I come from a family where these qualities have always been a part of our daily lives. You know, I have seen my parents go out really early in the morning every weekend to distribute food, clothes to those in need. And I used to always accompany them. And segregating our waste, composting them, recycling, upcycling were part of our daily lives. And I've seen my grandmother grow organic vegetables on her terrace to this day. So I always believed that protecting the planet, helping the community was a way of life that was, normal for everyone, because it was for me. But my bubble burst at the age of 7 when I saw this picture of a dead bird with its stomach full of plastic. And I had sleepless nights because my curious 7-year-old brain kept me awake with the thoughts of the bird's pain and agony before it died. And it kept telling me that there was something very wrong in this image. But I could not understand what exactly was wrong. So I started talking to my parents, reading books, researching, and then I realized that I would have to do something to stop this atrocity from happening ever again. So then I started speaking to my friends, to shops, restaurants, beauty salons, talking to them about why they should not use plastic, why they should save water, segregate their waste. And then on my 8th birthday, which is World Environment Day, 5th June, I planted my first tree. And there has been no looking back since then, because I realized that just talking about the problems is not going to solve the problem. We need to take action. When I was 11, the United Nations invited me to speak at my first UN conference about the work that I was doing so that I could inspire other children to do the same. And when I was 12, I was the youngest international delegate at the Rio Plus 20 Earth Summit in Brazil. And over there, out of the 50,000 delegates, I was one of the very, very few children below 18. And ignoring children in such an important process did not sit well with me at all. And hence, on my return home, I founded Green Hope Foundation so that children and young people could have a platform for action through which they could become eco-warriors. We started with just 5 friends, and today I'm so happy to say that we have more than 140,000 people working with us across 25 countries. We've planted over 142,000 trees worldwide, planted over 5,000 mangroves in Suriname, Indonesia, the UAE, the Bahamas, cleaned up over 200 beaches, parks, ravines, canals, worked on sea and river turtle conservation across the world, from Seychelles to Canada. We are strong advocates of growing your own food, especially during this pandemic. And we've conducted over 225 Education for Sustainable Development academies. Now, in 2015, the United Nations adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and I was the youngest at 15 out of the 193 youth selected to represent each UN member state at the adoption ceremony. And I realized then that the work Green Hope Foundation does was exactly what the SDGs mandated. And all we had to do was connect our projects to each of the SDGs. So the overarching aim of the Sustainable Development Goals is to leave no one behind and ensure a life of dignity for all. Hence, we work not only in urban areas, but in the rural areas and villages as well, with children of the marginalized communities who have no access to education. They don't have clean drinking water, no sanitation or toilets, no electricity. So what we do is that we educate the children in these communities through Education for Sustainable Development, working with them to come up with solutions to solve their local challenges. And since most of these children don't go to school, we use eco-fashion, sports, writing, art, dance, music, and drama to spread awareness so that we can really touch their hearts. And we teach them how to plant trees, how to grow their own food, how to compost. We distribute livestock to them, so hens and ducks, so that they can learn to love nature. We've installed solar panels in a town in Liberia so that they can have light at night to study and safe spaces. And we've built toilets in the villages of Bangladesh, as well as deep bore tube wells and rainwater harvesting systems, so that the people of the village can have clean, arsenic-free water. And you know, my journey with Green Hope Foundation has proven to me that you're never too young or too old to make a difference. And at Green Hope Foundation, we always say that our future is in our hands. So don't wait for someone else to come and tell you to protect the planet. Take that first step, no matter how daunting it might seem. And if every single one of us does our bit for the planet, we can definitely achieve the future we want, a peaceful, equitable, harmonious, and a sustainable one. Thank you very much, and back to you, Bayle.
Wow, I'm endlessly energized every time you talk about your story, your journey, and everything that you've done thus far. And, you know, as people watching are probably thinking like, wow, she's done so much, but I'm sure it all hasn't been easy. So a question that I have for you, Kehkashan, is what are some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to face in your journey thus far?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There have been so many challenges. First of all, people did not take an 8-year-old seriously initially, but then they started seeing the impact that my work was having, and thereafter they began noticing my age. And that's why we always say that, you know, age has nothing to do with capability. And apart from that, I also faced a lot of threats to my life. I was a victim of cyberbullying, harassment, but I did not let anything come in my way because my passion is stronger than my fear of these really bad people. And it's really important to remember that you don't let these bullies stop you from doing your good work, because when you do your good work, there are always going to be detractors. So the journey is long and hard, but you know, you just keep going.
So now that we're all inspired, what would be your message to everyone watching today and in the future to take action for our planet?
I'd say that it's always important to remember that whatever comes from the heart stays. So please be empathetic, be honest, hardworking, passionate, positive, and these qualities will really live on and create change in the world. And you know, most people live only for themselves, but believe me, when you help even one person, you sleep so much better at night. And you don't need to start an organization to make a difference. You can start at home with yourself and the change will follow. And don't do it for the fame and the awards or the media coverage. Do it because you want to help others. You want to do good for the planet and your community. And it will not be a bed of roses, but never give up.
I love that. Thank you so much. I don't know about you all, but I'm feeling especially inspired and excited to go out there and be the change. So thank you so much, Kehkashan, for your brilliant answers and your work. You all have the power now to be the change and find the solution. And at National Geographic, we believe that young people are key to addressing some of the world's most pressing problems. As we like to say, you're a part of Gen Geo, a community of young people who are committed to exploring connections, seeing how complex human and natural systems interact and change over time, and taking action for our planet. So thank you so much. As you can see, we invite you to join the Gen Geo conversation by sharing your story, the important work young people are doing for our planet, and the hope we all have for the future. So go to natgeo.org/GenGeo to join the community and connect with other young people around the world who want to make a difference just like you. And Mr. Shaw, I think you're connecting with some young people who have questions.
Yeah, I've got to say from both of you really, we're very inspired on that side of it, and there are some interesting feeds coming through. One in particular is quite an interesting one for Kehkashan. So I've got somebody coming in from Deutschland in Germany, Kathleen. So vielen Dank, Kathleen, for the message coming through. And actually, Kathleen is only 11 years old and said, I've been watching what you're saying, and my best translation is from the question is, I'm very inspired. What do you think I should do at age 11 to make a difference? It's a big question. Kehkashan, are you happy to answer that? Your idea on that? So somebody only age 11, seen what you said, and they're gone, wow, what can I do age 11?
Well, as I said, first of all, thank you, Kathleen, for the question. As I said, you're never too young or old to make a difference. So there is a lot that you can do. If you see in your community that you're able to plant trees, for example, or take part in recycling campaigns, or spread awareness amongst your friends and try to educate them about growing their own food, for example, that is a really good way to start, and then educating yourself, your family, and your friends. And especially during this pandemic, you can even join webinars and dialogues such as these to learn more about what you can do, get inspired by others, and share best practices. And take those small steps in your home so that you're able to bring about change no matter what. But yes, your age is an advantage for you. Never look at that as a detractor. And yeah, you can do so much to bring about change. And I really look forward to seeing your impact in this world.
Brilliant answer. I think it's a really important one there, saying it doesn't matter your age. So even at my age, I can get there and do something as well as being young. Now, there's quite a few questions in saying, let's go for it, let's make a difference, let's make a change, let's make 21 work hard. There's an interesting question, I think, from South Africa, and I think the name is Hugh, although it might be a typo on here possibly. This is an interesting one. So Hugh's somebody who is doing recycling, very passionate about it, encouraging people on his neighborhood to do that. But Hugh's saying he gets frustrated that other people don't see the importance of recycling, and he sees people not doing it. Difficult question to put to you, but if you're okay, how do you suggest Hugh goes about sort of gently trying to persuade people to go with him and not to be too frustrated or set back by this?
Thank you, Hugh, for that very important question. And I can completely relate to you because I have been there and continue to be there every single day trying to get people to change their mindsets. And my advice would be that you keep doing your work. You don't stop. And somehow or the other, once people see that you are committed to bringing about positive change, you continue to do your work no matter what they say. I have seen in my experience that they do realize that, what you are doing is good. And then they think that, oh, that is something that I should do as well. So yeah, it can be frustrating and it can be very hard at times that people are not listening to you and you feel really bad about it. But, I'd say just keep going, and people will see that work and they will eventually join you. It's like I also said, it's a very long road ahead. It's not going to come like this, but we just have to keep going to achieve that sustainable world.
Wonderful answer. I think we all relate to the idea, just be the light, be the hope there, do the positive thing, and people will eventually follow what you're doing and stay true to it. So time is moving on. So there are more things coming through. Perhaps I'll pass them on to you after the session. But on behalf of myself, Kehkashan, wonderful answers there. Bayle, amazing stuff as well. And from ourselves in the Global Classroom, thank you very much. And we'll see you hopefully soon as well. And stay tuned in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, after that amazing start, very powerful start there, and I feel like I almost get up here and do something rather than sit in this chair, but let's go and learn something, some information about how you, all of you now, the youth of the world, can also make a difference in helping to bring hope to others in your community as you fight against COVID-19. So this is going to be a call to action for anybody here listening, and we're so lucky about this. To do this, we're going to now connect to our really good friends at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. in the US. And I'm hoping right now I can say hello to a familiar face, to Dr. Carol O'Donnell. Can you see me and hear me, Carol? How are you?
Yes. How are you, Mr. Shaw? So good to see you.
We're great over here, and it's great to see. How's Washington right now? Doing well?
Yes. Probably just like Chicago, we too are cold, but with no snow.
Oh, no snow. I'm sad about that. So no snow in the middle today. But I'll hand over to you right now for a really exciting message as well. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Shaw, for inviting the Smithsonian Science Education Center to be a part of this really important work. Hi, everyone. So it's good to be with you today. My name is Dr. Carol O'Donnell, and I'm the director or the head of the Smithsonian Science Education Center. And as Mr. Shaw said, I work in Washington, D.C. in the United States. I'm also an educator, and I've been an educator since 1983. So that's 38 years of being in a classroom, and I love it. And as Mr. Shaw said, I'm here today to share with you ways to give back to your community, just like Kehkashan has done, but our work focuses on ways to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. And my friend, Hana, is here as well. So since the start of the pandemic, the Smithsonian Science Education Center has been engaging youth ages 8 to 17, just like you, in hands-on activities that help explain the underlying science of COVID-19 and its protective behaviors. So when I say protective behaviors, I'm talking about those things that help you to not either contract COVID-19 or give it to others. We help you discover why you're being asked to wear a mask, why you have to wash your hands, and why you need to socially distance, even after you get your first vaccine shot. So for example, did you know that when you sing, shout, or even breathe like this, that these small respiratory droplets come out of your mouth and you can feel them and see them. And those respiratory droplets carry the virus. For the pandemic we're experiencing now, that's SARS-CoV-2, and it causes the disease COVID-19. And those small respiratory droplets, they carry the virus to somebody nearby. And that's why you wear a mask, like this one, or like this one, or even now the World Health Organization is saying maybe both of them, right? So the mask helps protect you from those respiratory droplets. So if you want to actually test it out for yourself, you could take a bowl like this, fill it with water, put your hands in it and flick, and droplets will come off of your hand. Well, the further away you get from someone, the harder it is for those small respiratory droplets or small water droplets to actually reach the person. That's why you stand 3 meters or 6 feet away from somebody. And it's also why you wear a mask, to protect yourself from the respiratory droplets from someone else, or to protect your respiratory droplets that might have the virus in them from reaching another person. So both the mask and the physical distancing will help to protect others from the respiratory droplets and yourself. The other thing that you can do is simple soap. If you wash your hands, not just with water and not just by rubbing, but with soap and water for 35, 45 seconds, that combination of soap and water will help to remove the virus from your hand and break it down. Doing those three simple things, washing your hands, wearing a mask, standing 3 meters apart, they give us hope because they know that they will help us protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. And now the Smithsonian Science Education Center is working on a project to educate youth on the importance of vaccines. What's the science behind them? How do they work? And what are the questions that you have to make a difference in your community to make certain that the vaccine can also protect you and others? So today, we're going to hear from my new friend and colleague, Hana Pasic. She's from the World Scouting Organization. And like me, Hana is an educator too. And she's focused her life's work on leading and empowering young people and organizations to do social good in the most optimal way. She works for causes. She's worked and studied in very culturally diverse environments in 3 different countries. And she's visited over 50 countries worldwide through her work at the World Organization of the Scout Movement and the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. So today, Hana's going to tell you more about a new effort called the Global Youth Mobilization for Generation Disrupted, which is supported by the World Health Organization and its Youth Council. She's going to tell you how you can get involved. She'll tell you about the Big Six youth organizations who are coming together around a global initiative to shine a spotlight on young people just like you whose lives have been disrupted by COVID-19. And she'll talk about the ways that you can bring hope to others in your community through your contributions in response to the pandemic. Welcome, Hana.
Thank you so much, Carol, for the warm welcome, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you, especially after such an inspiring start. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here and talk about an initiative that's bringing me personally a lot of hope and optimism for the future, and I hope that by the end of this short input, it will do the same for you. The pandemic we have been experiencing for the past year has brought unprecedented challenges to our lives as we know them. And this is especially true for your generation. Worldwide, you and your peers have had to pause your education, entry to the labor market, and you've struggled with COVID-19 yourselves or close within your family. Potentially, some of you may have even experienced violence and abuse as a consequence of living in confined and unsafe spaces. These are the concerns that brought together our 6 youth movements, which are comprised of the Scouts, the Girl Guides, the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the YMCA, the YWCA, and the International Award, together with the World Health Organization, to think of ways in which we can alleviate, at least to some extent, the negative impact of COVID-19. And here, I would just like to share with you a few examples of the kinds of initiatives that young people like yourselves have been doing around the world in this last year and really truly helping your communities in overcoming the challenges of COVID-19. For example, here you see Scouts in Tunisia helping in packing food parcels for their communities. And apart from that, they have delivered 1.8 million service hours to date, volunteering and helping sanitize public spaces, helping organize queues of citizens in front of public institutions, raising awareness among their peers about the risks of infection of COVID-19. Next, you will see some of our Girl Guides in Nepal reaching out to their community and explaining what is COVID-19 and how to protect yourself from it. They've also been issuing protective equipment for free to elderly members of their communities. And a final example I'd like to share is a true collaboration between the International Award participants and the Red Cross and Red Crescent Society in the Bahamas, where they have had a chance to together put together their efforts and serve hundreds of families in need of food who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, lost jobs, or simply have not been able to make a living through this past period. Now, as you can imagine, this is just a snapshot of everything that has been happening around the world. And I'm sure that all of you have had a chance as well to help your communities, no matter how small that opportunity has been. The good news from my end is that we, from the Big Six and WHO, would really like to amplify these efforts. Our aim is to offer hope to young people worldwide through 3 key opportunities, and you can participate in them as well. First, if you have a great solution to a problem that your local community is facing as a consequence of the pandemic, you can apply for seed funding to implement it. Our project will be giving you an opportunity to get some initial funding to start off your great idea. Second, if you would like to talk with your peers from all around the globe about your generation's need in a post-pandemic world, we will be hosting a digital Global Youth Summit in April, and you can join us. And third, we will be collecting useful resources for young people to learn and develop personally and professionally, and you will be able to access these free of charge through our platform. This initiative, the Global Youth Mobilization for Generation Disrupted, is designed with young people and for young people, and aims to recognize and celebrate the amazing contributions you as young active citizens have been making daily in your local communities worldwide. We know and recognize your efforts, and we want you to know that you haven't been forgotten in this crazy world that has been happening and everything that has caused disruption all across our communities. For this reason, I invite you to join us and bring your creative ideas to solve the challenges that your local communities are facing. We will be launching a call very soon where you can see more information about the grants that I mentioned, as well as the event and the resources. So please keep an eye on our website, big6.org, where we'll be sharing some more information in the coming weeks and months. Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hana. I hope that we all know, in order to make a difference in your local community, you do need those resources. If you want to buy masks for others or educate people on the importance of soap or distribute soap or food, you need financial resources. So to be able to apply for them, I know there are thousands of students who are listening in right now, and that's a wonderful opportunity for them to get support. And then to meet other people like you and others who want to make a difference in their community at the summit. So thank you for helping share your information with us. Thank you, Mr. Shah, for your time.
Thank you very much. An amazing message from both of you. Wonderful stuff going on there. And I love the theme of taking action, making a difference, being the change. So we sit here, and I know many of you are children that you want to be in school, you want to be out seeing your friends, and this whole situation, the pandemic, has meant that you have lost parts of the life you want to get there. And I think if we step up as a generation and make that change, join together and be proactive, it's very, very powerful as well. So think about what you want to do. You look at the Big Six website, get involved, and some great things happening over the next few weeks and months as well. But we want to inspire you also in the global classroom. And our next guest will certainly do that. So don't feel worried. Our next guest lining up there, no panic here. It should be an exciting guest. Our guest is Denise Lewis OBE, and she is an accomplished presenter, broadcaster, former athlete and president of Commonwealth Games England. The former Olympic gold medal winning heptathlete has gone on to secure a successful broadcast career and is considered one of the BBC's most credible commentators. Presenting coverage for major sporting events such as, huge ones here, the 2015 World Athletics Championships, the Rio Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, the IAAF Championships in 2017. I'll keep going. She's also used her platform, the presence she has here, to highlight projects and discuss and promote diversity, and has taken on the role of ambassador and patron for multiple initiatives and charities as well. That's quite an accolade and a huge amount of things. We're very privileged here to hopefully beam into you live. Denise Lewis. Denise, if you're unmuted and ready to go, can I say hello to you?
Hello, it's lovely to join you and everybody around the globe. It's really a pleasure to be here tonight.
Well, I guess first of all, Denise, you're not coming from Washington or somewhere fancy around the world. You're being from the UK. It's wonderful. Is there any snow there? That's the theme today so far.
No, we had a few drops of snow a few days ago, but it's not too bad. A little fresh, but it's quite nice. We had sunshine today, which was lovely. I always call those the little wins in these times where there's so much uncertainty. You've got to look for those days where you get a little bit of sun rays. I'm homeschooling with my children, and so it was an opportunity for us to get outside and have a little bit of fun.
That sounds fantastic. And the place for snow seems to be Chicago. But how are you coping in lockdown right now generally? Because obviously the UK is very much in stay at home, stay safe right now. It's a tough time for the UK. How are you coping?
I think like everyone in the UK, you have your ups and downs, and it has been particularly challenging because we're in lockdown 3. It's been tough, but my go-to has been the life that I've known for so many years, which is sport and activity, and trying to make the most of the area that I live in, where we're lucky we have some green space. But really, exercise has got me through, and it's got my family through. Luckily, they've got that sporting gene that they actually enjoy participating in and getting involved as well. But we've been cooking and we've been doing fun things as much as you can, but it's been a real tough time for the children. This uncertainty, education starting and online, being on the platform for way too many hours. But what I do know is that this time won't stay like this forever. So we've got to take our tentative steps towards in a new world, a different world, but a happier time.
I think that's quite inspirational, actually, and I'm pleased you can exercise. I mean, my family's not always going to exercise. I want to stay inside sometimes, so I'll encourage them. And now you're incredibly successful in many ways, and someone who's achieved the highest accolades in the sports arena. He's on broadcasting, TV, and now from what you're saying, also, getting out there, exercising, an amazing parent, But there must have been times when you faced setbacks and difficulties, and these are tough times right now. How did you overcome these? And this whole theme today is about inspiration. What was your inspiration?
I think you can imagine a life in sport, the biggest setbacks are usually injuries, not getting selected for a team or not quite reaching the performance that you like. And so you have to learn, I guess, in life, but in particular in sport, how to get over those setbacks really quickly, because they affect your self-esteem, they affect the things that your goals. And so learning to deal with setbacks, it hasn't been easy, but you find a way, you trust in the people around you as much as you can, but you have to be courageous. And, there are times in my athletic career when, injuries came at the worst possible moments before major championships. And in those situations, you stop thinking about the outcome, which for us is a medal or making a final, and focusing on what you can do in that moment. And when you readjust your thinking, you try to think about the small goals that you can achieve instead of focusing on the things that you can't at that moment in time. And that usually sets the mind in a different vein. It gives you an opportunity to actually pat yourself on the back when you make those small wins and those small gains.
That's really interesting. One word you said there was about being courageous. And I think that's a really interesting one, especially in these times, and also taking those small gains going through. But for me, that was sticking when you said that, being courageous in these times. And I think we all have to be quite courageous because it's not been easy right now. So thank you for sharing that as well. Let's do a bit of a time traveling trick now. Let's take you back in time. I'm not going to say how many years back in time to see a young Denise Lewis. Perhaps, somebody, I don't know, maybe 11, 12 years old, the same kind of time that Kehkashan was about to change the world and do her amazing stuff around the world. What would you, if I took you back in time right now and you're sat there on the screen talking to the young Denise Lewis, what would you say to her?
I would say to be patient. We heard earlier, we were talking about timelines. Some people do things amazingly at a young age, and that's great. But sometimes it takes you a little longer to find your find your passion or find something that really stimulates you or interests you. But you've got to be patient to explore that, and know that as long as you're persistent and you have that passion within you, and you're a good learner. I think being a good learner is critical to no matter what you do in life, whether you're interested in music, art, or changing the planet and saving the environment. It is about making sure that you're a good learner and you ask questions, and yeah, have a little bit of fun as well when you're doing it. And those things I think have guided me definitely to this point. But the young Denise was not that confident, but being patient on that timeline allowed me to grow in confidence and to learn and to listen to my inner voice. And my targets were always just to be better than the moment before, the day before that, and those small little improvements that you can make are invaluable. They really are.
I think I had a teacher once at school said to me that if I learnt one thing that day, I went to bed smarter than when I got up. And so Absolutely. That kind of each day you gain something, isn't it? It's amazing to do that. Now, obviously, we go around the world and we have millions of people watching the stream live. But I know there's one person who stayed up late to actually beam live into the classroom to talk to you as well. And I'm actually going to see on my screen now, and I hope it's going to work. We have Almira Asif, and she's aged 13, and she's from Karachi in Pakistan.
Hi, my name is Almira Asif, and I'm from Nasra School, Karachi, Pakistan. Ma'am Denise, I have a question. That what one most important lesson you have learned from your time as a professional athlete?
Okay, great question. So what was the most important thing that you've learned from your time as a professional athlete? Wow. Okay, over to you, Denise, for that one. So
that's a big question. Oh, so many lessons. But perseverance, I think, is the biggest lesson. You know, I talked about the setbacks. I talked about the injuries. You have to be persevering in your daily tasks, and the training for my event was particularly hard, but you know, slowly you start to understand more about yourself, you start to understand more about your resilience and your appetite for learning and for self-improvement. And so that perseverance, from being inspired as an 8-year-old, wanting to be an Olympian, it would be 20 years before I'd stand on the rostrum. So you've got to be patient and have perseverance in your endeavours.
Love that. Thank you that very much. So our next question is coming in actually from the UK. So maybe not snow there. We'll see how it goes. I'm sent a recorded question from Matthew Fullerlove, very much about a certain point in your career, I think.
Hi, Denise. I just wanted to ask, in the 2000 Olympics, how did you motivate yourself to win gold after becoming 8th earlier on in the competition?
Okay, right. So definitely a very precise question there for you.
It was a great question because I'd been injured also leading into those games. So there was a lot of uncertainty about the competition, whether my injury would actually hold up. And so the motivation for me was basically knowing that it was a golden opportunity for me to showcase myself, and all the, I guess, decisions I'd made up to that point, it felt like a now or never moment. And so it was that time where I kind of went into myself and focused only on each event as they came. And so tried really hard not to think about the outcome. I tried not to think about how much it would mean to Queen and country, to my family, and really stayed in the moment and focused on the technical aspects of my event and try not to get too anxious. And so visualization techniques, so thinking about my event, thinking about the 1 or 2 things that would really make a difference for each of the 7 events, and a little bit of luck never hurts.
It's a great answer, and the luck as well, certainly. But you're right. I mean, I'm sure there are moments in our lives also we're not quite there, and it's a hard challenge to go forward. So thank you for that. Well, we're going to try and get our connections right on the audio side first of all. This is a big one. We're going to get a message in now that's been sent in from Uganda. So Lincoln, let's try and hear your question.
My name is Lincoln Tentenda from Uganda, East Africa, and I have a question for Miss Denise Lewis. How best can people take part in physical exercises so as to stay healthy during such hard times? Thank you.
What a great smile.
Great smile and great question. Listen, you don't have to have the Olympic gold standard to exercise. I've always been a firm believer that your health is your wealth. And so it's finding something that you enjoy. Not everyone likes to run. So even getting out and walking, changing that walk to a jog. So I call that jog. And so it's literally taking in the areas that you can live in, it's very difficult within this time of COVID to getting out with your friends. That is really the biggest challenge. So it's about having that motivation. So what I tend to do is I start my day in leggings and, something that I'm going to work out with. And I'm not ever sure what time of the day it's going to be, but I promise myself that I can at least find 15 or 20 minutes of my day to do some form of activity, exercise, and get away from my desk, sometimes get away from the children, but at least make sure that you physically are expanding the lungs as best as you can. But yeah, understanding that your health is your wealth, and that if you invest in your activity and your body, that it will pay dividends throughout the rest of your life.
I think it's a good message, actually, that there are lots of people I know who are missing their team sports right now and missing their activities. And I think it has caused some huge problems across the whole of the world, actually, from people we've spoken to about how do they compensate for that, because they're used to getting out there, meeting people, doing it as well. So I think your suggestion there of having that intention of getting up and dressing that way, you're going to do something and making time for it, I think is a key thing as well. And I think just to follow up very briefly is, how do you cope with the children doing that? Do you do PE at home with them? Is that how it works, or?
I do, but then my goal with them and for myself is sometimes you've got to try something new. So yes, I have one of my children that likes rugby and he's desperate to start playing again.
Yes.
But we have to find alternative ways in which he can exercise and keep the balance and coordination and make it fun. And so whether you've got a lot of equipment at home, most people don't. And so you've got to think, okay, if it's a bag of rice, can you do something creative with that? You can do some little bicep presses or, just anything that you can make fun. We do balance exercises on, on our feet. We sometimes close our eyes. We do reaction tests, so lying on the floor in the hallway. And then getting up really quickly, running on the spot. So it should be fun when you're working with young people and children. And if you are blessed to have some outdoor space, try to make it work for you as well. We sometimes use the trees as little markers to do some running, some shuttle running. It's just anything you physically can to make it work for you.
I think I'm almost picturing here a YouTube channel for Denise's Workout with Kids right now. That could be happening. I can see it. Now, there are obviously millions of children around the world that will watch this video, and we're very fortunate and we're very lucky, and we have lots of messages sent in about people hearing things that actually do change their lives and take a step forward. People will know you from television, from an athlete, perhaps from dancing as well in some ways, that they'll have seen you up there and you come across as a really confident person, but you've talked about vulnerability today and actually being courageous. So here we are in a really challenging situation across the world. And as you look forward with hope, and some would say, we hope to inspire people, what would be your message if you're a child watching the screen right now, either on YouTube at Later Play or live in the stream? What would you say to them around the world?
I'd say that, you've got to take, and it's maybe a bit cliche, but it's one step at a time. Nothing stays the same. The environment doesn't stay the same. It moves on. And so you have to be hopeful that you will make it through this very difficult phase of your life, but you will learn from it, you'll grow from it, and also you'll be prepared for the next time that there'll be a challenge in your life, because those things will happen too. And so it's about, as I said, using that word courage, and trying to only think about what you can do in that moment. Yeah, that's the best thing I would say, because it's sometimes very difficult to conceive and think about what's going to happen in the future. But all we can do is make the days that we have better and brighter by picking that one thing that can make a difference to your mindset and make you feel good.
I think that's a bit of wisdom actually there, that we can sometimes be worried about the what ifs, and the phrase becomes catastrophizing. What if this happens? What if this happens? Actually, what we're saying here is take each moment, take each day, take each victory, and every step we take, we step a bit more forward in victory and strength, and we grow from that, and we learn from that, one day older, one day wiser, going through, and we face those challenges. So from my point of view, I hope that people listen to that message going around the world. And Denise, a huge thank you for being with us today and for talking about that. It's absolutely wonderful. From myself and our global partners around the world, the Smithsonian Science Education Centre, National Geographic, the World Health Organization, UNICEF. I know that we have BMG and Penguin Random House supporting us as well. We want to thank you for joining us. Now, based on what we said just then, we talked about keeping our minds right. And our next event will be a special broadcast on April the 11th on World Breathing Day. And we're going to take this forward with James Nestor. So have a look at theglobalclassroom.com when we put together an incredible package on there about how we're going to encourage all schools, all children around the world to embrace breathing techniques, to encourage them to stay calm and stay mentally fit as well. But from myself, Kehkashan, from Bayle, from Hana, from Carol, from Denise Lewis as well, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again soon in the Global Classroom. Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, wonderful afternoon, no matter where you are around the world, and take care.